Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Lessons in Tanya class. It's Hasidus with a focus on non-Jews. And we are in chapter 36 of Likutei Amarim, which is a section of the Tanya. The first section, so physically, if you have the books, we're in the second book towards the beginning in chapter 36. Likutei Amarim means collection of phrases or sayings. And we were studying about Histoshelus, which is the down chain of creation. I guess that'd be the simple way to put it. So the purpose of the Histoshelus is this world. For such was his will, is a common question throughout time, right? Why did Hashem create things? For such was his will that he find it pleasurable when the Sitra Achra is subjugated to holiness, and the darkness of Klipa is transformed into holy light. So that in the place of the darkness and Sitra Achra prevailing throughout the world, the Ein Sof light, the Or Ein Sof of Hashem will shine forth with greater strength and intensity and with the superior quality of light that emerges from the darkness, i.e., when darkness is transformed into light, the resulting light is superior to ordinary light. It will thus shine with greater intensity than its radiance in the higher worlds. Hey, and here's Dixie. Cool. Hey, Dixie. Oh, she's just connecting her audio. She's not going to be able to hear us. So this is really cool. So people I don't know, this was a question I just had earlier this week. I was thinking about it what is the purpose? I know my purpose in creation would be it like the Torah says, like the Alter Rebbe says, Torah and mitzvot, to reveal godliness in the world. But from Hashem's perspective, why did he do all this to begin with? And so this is a big deal we just found. Because when Hashem, through the Seder Hastalshalus, through the down chain order of creation, he conceals himself, and then he wants us to reveal him, and that light is greater than the initial light.
Yeah.
That is like an axiom for me. I could not, I could kind of tell you why, but on a Hasidic Kabbalistic level, I couldn't get into much detail. I mean, it sounds
It's kind of like the idea of reflective light. Like you could take the sunlight, but
right.
then you get a magnifying glass and you hit the sunlight and then it'll actually burn.
Oh,
See
a
what I mean?
magnifying glass. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that reflection, that reflective light, and I think that may be the key to everything,
Hmm.
which is once the light is acted out in physicality, once you physically act out a mitzvah,
Hmm.
then that magnifies that light and the intensity of it. But the real question I think in some of this is what you're talking about when we're going talking about the Ein Sof is the idea you have the Ein Sof and the Or Ein Sof.
Hmm.
So the question is the Or Ein Sof the Noga of the Ein Sof?
Right. Is the Orion Soph actually the reflective light or some such?
But then that begs the question: can the Ein Sof have a Klippa? Like the Klippa Noga.
No. Well, I think at that level it's not, right? But
Well, I think in relationship too, it may be in
mm.
relationship too, but it's
Oh,
not.
in relationship.
Yeah,
But it's
and
not an evil. It's not it doesn't have that. It,
yeah,
I think that's an excellent way of putting it is magnification. There's a magnification to it, or the resistance causes the actual thing to happen. Um, just kind of like well, maybe kind of like light itself. Light, you don't see light until it is actually hits an object, whether it be your retina or it's reflected off of something. Or just your eyes. Without your eyes, you wouldn't actually be able to see the light, right? Um, I think it doesn't that apply to Adam? Didn't it say something like oh my, what was that a couple weeks ago I learned? It was crazy when I thought about it. Oh, I forget what it says. It was kind of like the opposite. It was something about eyes and seeing and knowledge. Oh my goodness. I don't want to waste time, but I can't think of it quick. It was something about knowing. Um, oh, I totally forget now, guys. I'm sorry, but it was profound and it was shy. This, um,
You'll think of it, then you can share it with us.
yeah, yeah. But my point, I guess, I'm trying to use different analogies with what Russell said, which was really good. But the Noga is like the frost on the glass that makes the light shine brighter or more evenly or something of such. Oh, okay.
Best one is the light on a candle, flame on a candle.
Oh yeah, very good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good analogy. Oh, here's a footnote.
Mhm.
The Rebbe explains why the Alter Rebbe adds the words than its radiance in the higher worlds and is not satisfied with simply stating that the ultimate purpose of creation in this world, for such was his will that he find it pleasurable. In doing so, the Alter Rebbe answers a well-known question. How can we possibly say that the higher worlds, which are illuminated with such a revelation of godliness, exist for the purpose of this world, where godliness is so concealed? One does not create. Oh, cool. We got James is going to join us. Hey, James. Hope you're being able to hear us.
Hey there, how you doing?
Hey, bud. Doing all right. Baruch Hashem. Hope you're
Great.
doing well.
Doing very well, thank you.
Good, thank God. We just kind of started here. Um, so when why did Hashem create this world when it's concealed is because when the Or Ein Sof transforms it, the light becomes greater than has had it not been. So we were in the middle of a footnote here. Let's see here. How can we possibly say that the higher worlds, which are illuminated with such a revelation of godliness, exist for the purpose of this world, where godliness is so concealed? One does not create a significant thing to serve something insignificant. The Alter Rebbe therefore explains that through the transformation of darkness into light, a form of divine service, which can be achieved only in this world, the world becomes so holy that it is illuminated with a degree of godliness far superior to that which is manifest in the higher worlds. And I think it also alludes to why angels in the times of Mashiach will be asking Torah scholars questions. And the angels are, I don't know if the right word is envious of Torah scholars and things of that nature because they can't do what humanity has the potential to do.
I,
They're in
I
the
think, yeah, I think that footnote kind of reinforces what I was saying.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and the analogy of a
I'm magnifying it here through physicality, through physically doing the mitzvahs in physicality, and it explains this whole mystery of spirituality and physicality, and why does the formula look like it looks for as as spiritual beings being in a physical vessel acting out mitzvahs that lead the spirit back to spiritual purity, and it's that physical action of carrying out for actually doing the mitzvah that magnifies the light of the Ein Sof. And one of the ways, that we look at it is that it's kind of like how are you the king of heaven if you have no kingdom?
Very
So
good.
the attributes of the spherotic structure are being acted out here. How do you love? How do you show the love through this intense light? You bring it down into physicality and you do acts of kindness.
Mm,
And so therefore you created that attribute of God here, which magnifies himself.
excellent. That's very good. Thank you, Russell. Those are more than analogies. Those are actual practical implementations. That's very good. There in the higher worlds, it shines through garments, the vushim, and through concealment, the behester, panim, the concealment of the countenance or concealment of the face or the secrecy of the face, a concealment of the panimiut, i.e., the internal aspect of the light, which conceals and screen or Ein Sof Baruch Hu. The ma'alimim. Screen, very cool. Conceal and screen, two different words. I thought they were kind of the same thing, but so that the worlds do not dissolve out of existence. So you have bittul here. For were the Ein Sof light not screened by garments, the worlds could not bear it and would dissolve. Thus, the revelation wrought by subjugation of the klipot in this world is greater than that of the higher worlds. There, the Or Ein Sof is hidden, the Ein Sof light is hidden, whereas here in this world, it is revealed in all its strength. The question arises, however, how is it possible, even upon subjugating the klipot and transforming them into holiness, that we in this world should experience a revelation of the Or Ein Sof without veil or concealment, when even the higher worlds cannot receive such revelation without dissolving into nothingness? That's pretty cool. So I would say it's because we're like made in the image, and it's a keli that it's a vessel that can, maybe we'll see here. In answer, the Alter Rebbe writes, for this purpose, the Holy One, blessed be He, gave Yisrael the Torah, which is called might and strength, for it gives us strength to receive such revelation without being overwhelmed by it. Oh yeah, we talked about this last week. I think Mercy had some good questions or points. And I made the kind of weird Star Trek reference with the force fields, or what are they called? And as our rabbis say, that God gives Tzaddikim the strength to receive their reward in the world to come. Yeah, so the 613 of the Torah is kind of like the frequency. It's like the frequencies. Why is this strength necessary? So that their existence should not dissolve within the divine light that will reveal itself in the hereafter without any garment. And he doesn't say it here, but I have a hunch that this might and strength, this would be the side of Gevura, I would think. So it's like encapsulates. It's able to harbor that light. It's able to like focus or channel or put the light into the or maybe the vessel into the right wavelength to channel the light properly. Like Russell was saying, the proper curvature of the apparatus, the curvature of the mirrors and the like. I.e., would be our bodies, 613. We have 613 parts, internal parts of our body, and those 613 are associated with the 613 mitzvot. So it'd be like a mitzvah tunes your body. And I think we learned last week too that it said all 613 mitzvot have to be in tune in order for this thing to happen, which is interesting. Why? Because that also it seems like in the non-Jewish world that is important to know. Difference between a Yisrael, somebody who's Mitsuve or Ose and Taryag mitzvot, and all 613, and maybe not. I don't know. But that's an interesting something to kind of keep in your mind. What does that mean?
So James,
Mm-hmm.
now thinking on the 613 mitzvot, without Israel having the Beit HaMikdash in place, the 613 cannot be completed for that frequency to go out into all the world.
Right. Right. And I think no, I don't say I'm going to counter this. It's not me, but the Alter Rebbe. That I think that's why you talk so much about Torah study, why it's equivalent to all 613.
Mm.
I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Tzedakah and tefillin, I believe, or prayer, tefillah. But those three, I think he even talked about tzedakah last week and Torah study. I think, what did he say? I think he said Torah study involves more of just the seichel, but tzedakah involves all of it because you're working with your whole being.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, though, I think why he focuses on that is particularly because of the question that you raised, or the issue you raised. So I think that's an excellent to note. And well, that maybe then that would apply to the non-Jew as well. I don't know, right?
So it seems to me, even in the workings of those,
Mm-hmm.
how much more difficulty is it when it's not being accomplished by everyone, by Klal Israel?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Kind of.
It's more.
Just keep going.
Like it's like trying to constantly shovel coal into a train to keep the train going down the track.
Oh,
You see
right,
what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah,
It needs fuel
it does.
and
Well,
more fuel.
what's cool about that is how long it's going though without the Beit HaMikdash.
Exactly.
Isn't that cool?
So
So
that
I have a question, please. Oh, go ahead, Mercy, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so then the efforts behind all that mechanism must be accounted for somewhere.
Right. Yeah, and I think I think one, you raise an excellent point. Two, I think the Alter Rebbe is kind of telling us, but it's in reference to Jews. Like he wrote this for the Jewish people, but at the same time, it sure does seem like that mechanic would work for non-Jews as well. At least, I don't know. I'm a little hesitant because of the whole concept of mitzvah ose and
Right.
taking on the mitzvah.
Right.
And I just don't think in the non-Jewish world that's necessarily the case. Or I'm not exactly sure. I think it's in Hashem's hands. I think it's supposed to be kind of blurry like that in Gullus for a reason. So, but that's an excellent point. And because I think in the Gullus, that's is where that kind of revelation, only that kind of revelation can happen. Like where does the power really come from, so to speak? In other words, when the temple was built, you would think, oh, everything's right in the world. But if everything was right in the world, then why did it get destroyed? That means that while the temple is standing, this is my opinion, I guess. This is something I think about. That means that something that was happening that was not good in the world that caused the temple to be destroyed while the temple existed. And that tells me also that while the temple doesn't exist, then there must be something good in the world that causes it to be built without the temple having been built. So, and I think I maybe I'm not talking about what you're talking about, but I that's something that I think about, and that's what I apply that to. Um, so in other
Yeah,
words,
I think you're right. That good must be that restraint, the gavura.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a
Okay.
relationship. There
Right.
could be people that are together and they hate, like they fight and they bicker or whatever. And it's like, well, are they really together at that point? And what happens to somebody who's not married? Are they together before they are married and then they become married? Or is it just a revelation of the fact that they are together? So, um, I feel like it's kind of a similar thing with the temple. Um, so, well, why does that relate? Why does that all matter? Because of this concept of Torah study and tzedakah, and how that also could relate to non-Jews. Um, because, like we talked about earlier, it does appear to me, from what I've studied, it's the non-Jews that actually build the temple, and Yisrael and the Kohanim and the Levim and the like, they service the temple, so they work it. So, um, yeah, it's just one of those things that I don't have narrowed down, but I think it's great that we study it. And that could very well be the whole purpose of just studying. So, excellent. Those are excellent points. Yeah, you guys are making some good points tonight. So, oh, Ernestine.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, so my question may be stupid, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I need some guidance. Is there a source that can explain or support um, if we are able to go beyond, to elevate ourselves beyond the Torah, or is the Torah the limitation? Um, is the Torah protecting us in certain parameters, or can we elevate higher than the Torah?
Hmm.
I told you it's a stupid
No,
question.
it's
I'm
not
sorry.
stupid. No, it's not stupid. I don't know. Uh, when it comes to the Seichel, you study the Torah because the Torah is the enclosed the wisdom of Hashem.
Okay,
It's his enclosed wisdom. I do know that. That's kind of like just an axiom.
okay,
But while you are studying, okay, you are kind of unwrapping that clothing, so to speak. You're literally grasping, you are uniting with that wisdom.
okay.
And I don't know, like, I mean, I guess it depends on what you describe what Torah is, but at that
Yeah,
point, once it's been unwrapped and you really are you knowing Hashem or are you knowing his Torah? It appears
okay,
like you would be going beyond and knowing him by using the Torah. But then
okay.
I guess one could also say that that is the Torah. I don't know. That's an excellent question.
Yeah.
That's a question beyond, I think, the way I can describe it.
It's kind of like, where you at? Is it Torah A or Torah B? Is it kind of like an idea of a spiritual Torah? Can you become beyond that, or can you go beyond a physical Torah? Like we might call Torah B, where in physicality, and go on and go up to a spiritual level of it. But at the end of the day, I think Torah is the benchmark, whether it's in physicality or spirituality.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely the revelation.
Okay.
It
All right.
definitely,
Thank you, James.
you're
Thank you,
welcome.
Russell.
Yeah, the axiom that the Alter Rebbe says, it's the Torah is Hashem's enclosed wisdom. So it's
Mm,
his encoding. It's like an encoding, like a computer can be an encoder and then you decode it. And
good.
that decoding, that's studying, deep study, what is called oisek, being oisek in Torah, osek b'Torah, and anybody can do that. So if even an akum can be oisek in Torah as long as they're trying to get over the hurdle of avodah zarah. They should really just be studying about the laws of avodah zarah and the seven commandments that were given to Noah, because those are the basics. Like those are the entry points, so to speak. Um, so um,
Okay.
yeah,
Thank
so
you, James.
enclosed wisdom and being oisek in Torah. And then the Alter Rebbe talks about once you are there, though, you are uniting with the mind of Hashem.
Okay.
And you are,
Okay.
yeah, so I don't know.
Thank you.
Is there anything beyond? I mean, it's not you said it was a stupid question, but it's not a stupid. It's a great question. And it's an excellent question for the ages. Because when you're studying the Torah deeply, you are uniting with the mind of Hashem, and you are at that point, because it is the mind of Hashem, which is the white part of body, man's body, anybody's body, but it's that masculine part. You are becoming a child of that person
Okay.
of Hashem there, because that is from his mind. And that's a
Yeah.
big deal. You are literally a portion. You are a chelek at that point. Just like you are a child of your parent. You know, your father, I don't know if you guys understand the order of that down chain, but oh, when a husband and wife are together, the moment of that conception is a huge deal, and it stems from the mind of the man, which is all this is all the white parts for the man. Okay. And it goes from the brain, which is the white parts, down the spine, which is the white parts, down to Yesod, which is also emits the white parts. And so at that instance of a man and a woman that they are together, the focus of what the particularly just from what I've studied, the man, what he is focusing on is highly important, because that is his channeling of the child, so to speak. And it's the same way though with Hashem and you when you are studying Torah. So yeah, that's how one becomes literally a child of Hashem. Um, so that's an excellent question.
Thank you, James.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope that helped. I'm
Yes,
just
yes, it helped. Thank you so much.
yep. Um, oh, excellent. Wow, look at this, guys. Okay, so I was almost gonna say it, but okay. So where do we leave off? Why is this strength necessary? Okay, so it's strength. So the Torah is strength, so that their existence should not dissolve, so it not should be completely bittul within the divine light that will reveal itself in the hereafter without any garment. As it is written, and your teacher will no longer hide. Yeah, Yechanef, Yechanef from you, meaning not as some interpret the verse, he will no longer withhold your reins, but following Rashi, he will no longer conceal himself from you with the edge of a robe or a garment, kanaf, and your eyes will behold your teacher. I felt like we studied this last week. I'm hoping I'm not going over something, uh, but I hope we're just reiterating. So this is excellent. And it is also written, for they shall see eye to eye. I don't believe that's a good translation of what's really going on. And like Russell said, mentioned it, maybe Mike did. Um, they will see eye in eye. If you notice here, it's a bit. Okay, it's so eye in eye. In other words, it's like, um, people cuddle, they play big spoon, little spoon or whatever. I'll be the big spoon. Hashem's the big spoon and you're the little spoon, and you merge, you unite, you walk into, he walks into you, your will with his will. We read in Pirkei Avot, was like a few weeks ago or so. His will become your will, or your will become his will, and his will become your will. And I forget verbatim what it says, but I definitely thought about this when I read that in Pirkei Avot, which is, to me, that is what Bittul is. Um, so people say, well, you got to get rid of your ego. I don't think it's that. It's literally merging your ego with Hashem's, so to speak. Like, I don't think anybody can really get rid of their ego. It's a thing that you just have in your animal soul, in your brain. I don't think you're supposed to be negating what Hashem has given you. I think you just need to be transforming it. And what is that transformation? It's through this bittul process of taking what he has given you and transforming it into goodness. And here it would be I in I, or your will in his will. Um, in other words, don't get rid of your desires, transform your desires. There's people who really like art or music or whatever. Transform those things. In other words, people might say, oh, those are frivolous or whatever. No, I've seen great Hasidic works in the arts, great concepts that people have painted or whatever, and transforming, their artistic talent into this really deep, expressive thing that I think is wonderful. And if somebody were to nullify that, like say they were in elementary school and their teacher said, hey, you quit doing those things or whatever, and they were completely discarded, I don't think that's a good idea. I think people need to take what Hashem has given them, those powers. And I've seen that particularly with our kids, because the way we teach them and things like that, like each one of our kids is good at certain things and they don't really like something else, or this or that, and they're really good at, so teach a child in the way that he should go, that she should go. um, and there's natural things that Hashem has given them. So I don't know about the whole get rid of your ego thing that sometimes I hear. I think it's more of, you just merge your will with the will of Hashem. Merge yourself with him. And how do you do that? Through Torah and mitzvot. So
James, may I make a quick comment?
sure, go ahead.
He just said, teach a child in the way he should go and he will go.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. But they also turn it around. And in our family, actually, instead of showing the children exactly the way they should go,
Mm-hmm.
Religious wise or whatever, they let them choose themselves at an early age.
Oh,
And that just drove me crazy.
yeah, that's a problem. I think it's because it's I think a proper translation is to train a child in the way that he should go. So you have to train them in the way that they need to go. It's not like hands off. I think I know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh yeah, just let the kids go and do. No, I don't think that's it at all. I think it's train a child in the way that he should go. In other words, you have to train, and you probably know this from horses, right? Like, I mean, those are
Oh,
big
yeah.
animals, and like
Yeah.
you have to. I heard I was uh, I know a big animal vet, up in South Bend, and he told me wise words once. If you want to lead a horse to water, just start walking in the opposite direction or something like that. I forget what he said, but in other words, like
Forget it.
if you want to get a horse to follow you, instead of grabbing him and trying to force him somewhere, just start walking. It's some kind of psychology, and
Well, what we encountered was they showed them all the religions and then let the kids pick them before they taught them the correct religion.
hmm,
That was upsetting.
yeah, I think that's called putting your children through the fire.
Yeah.
And that's probably kind of what Yisro did and why he came to the conclusion of the God of gods. He already knew all the other gods, from his perspective. And that's why he said, "Oh, this is the God of gods," because the world has all their other gods or whatever. And that's a problem because then the kid can get tripped up and that could very well be like what problem Esav had.
And Cain. Come on. I was going to say, when you were talking about the horse leading them to water, when we train our dogs, one of the things dogs will want to do is they like to be escape artists. Okay. And they'll take off and run in one direction. And most of the time people chase after them. And that's game on for the dog because that's how they play naturally.
Yeah, you're running my pack.
So what you're supposed to do is go the opposite direction and start calling on them and keep going the opposite direction.
Oh yeah, there you go.
It's that same concept.
That's a better analogy. Thank you, Mercy.
Yeah, that won't work with horses. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. But dogs, they know they're being fed by you. So
Yeah.
horses, they're okay. I'm gonna graze over here.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah, for they shall see eye and eye, meaning that the human eye will see as the divine eye sees, i.e., we will clearly see the revelation of God's light. See, I don't like the eye to eye thing because that makes it look like Hashem's over there and I'm over here. And this verse here is kind of like the ultimate thing. When the Alter Rebbe writes, this is kind of like, this is the place to be. This is the times of Mashiach, or maybe even later. Like, this is where we want to be. And the fact that you would be seeing Hashem like over there, I just have a problem with that analogy. And I'm not saying the Alter Rebbe is giving that analogy. I'm saying I'm pretty sure it's this eye in eye. I like that analogy better. Because if you're going to have an ultimate revelation, then Hashem isn't going to be over there. He's going to be here. You're going to be merged with Hashem. You're the one who's going to have that revelation, that ultimate revelation, that Hashem is everywhere.
James, what if you say eye through eye?
Or eye through eye. That's pretty good. It's not a I'm a literalist, unfortunately, so I don't know how to pull that from debate, but that's actually a better description, maybe. Eye through eye.
Yeah, Mike talks about it, a face within face.
Face within face. That's a good point.
It's not, you're both looking in the same direction. It's not face to face, it's face within face.
Oh, right.
And that means you're both facing the same way, but you're looking through, one's looking through the other.
That's perfect.
And that may be where you're coming through with this eye,
Eye in eye.
Yeah. And I think there's a stronger revelation with ayin and ayin rather than face and face, but I'm not sure. But the word for face and panimi and the inner aspect, panim is, it could be the same thing. I don't know, but that's excellent. Face and face or inner face. I think I remember that rings a bell now that you mentioned that. I think I heard Mike or Rabbi Bax maybe say that once.
And there was an idea, with the eye as in what ani, and I, and self,
Oh,
and,
whoa.
and seeing yourself. Uh,
Um, so
so
excellent point. I just learned in Hasidus, and the previous class, Rabbi Turin has a class where we're going over the Tzemach's writing of the Tzemach Tzedek, and he said the word ani is actually very powerful. It's in the not this week's class. I think it was I think it was the previous week's class, or it was within the last 2 or 3 weeks. Not if it wasn't this last class, the last week's class, it was the week before that. But the word ani, you're right, Russell.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah. So there is a yeah. So there's a lot going on between I and I.
mhm. That's a very good point. And also too, in just the letter ayin, you have two eyes up here, and they merge into one. Um, and also ayin isn't the letter for 70.
Right.
And that is the beginning of isn't this like the root or the beginning of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, which is the creation of the world as we see it? Where's the branching of Chesed and Gevurah? Um,
Could it also mean I and I? Could it mean light in light? Because the light comes through our eye.
very good. Yeah, yeah, it very well could be. Well, looky here. And it is further written, the sun shall no longer be your light by day, for God will be your internal light. So there you go, Dixie. There's a reference.
Yeah.
Remember when you were talking about the reflection earlier? You and Russell were talking about the
Russell
reflection.
brought that up. Yeah.
Now look at that. Look at Ain Be'ain. Look at it. It's reflecting each other
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
with the
There's
bait. You see that? The
Yeah.
bait is used as the reflector.
Yeah, the bait
Yeah.
is used that. So you have two here. You have two things being brought together by the bit. And then even within the word itself, you have similar things. You have the ayin bringing it together. See the two tops, the crowns of the
That's right.
ayin here?
And
So
that is
something.
true.
Yeah, so it's like,
up too. So it's wow.
yeah, this is amazing. That's really cool. That's really amazing, guys. Huh. It's like two and two. It's like it's two merging, and then you break it down further, and it's another two merging.
And then, like Marcy said, the bet is the reflector. The back of the bet would reflect the light back from the eye. It's the oh my gosh! It's
And
the
then you have the
reflector.
open,
And
right?
what
And then you have the open side of the bait as well.
Yeah.
and what is the eye? The eye is a refracting mechanism.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's just taking it back, going back, and oh wow,
That's really
wow,
cool.
wow.
Well, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, Baruch
Yeah.
Hashem.
We
That's
just
really
keep
cool.
digging, we'll get it.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's very cool. The wisdom of the letters, and like being a soifer and just writing the letters, focusing
Just
on the
one more
letters,
thing, please.
meditating on the words on the letters.
I hate to interrupt again, but I'm kind of excited about this.
Mhm.
The bet and the reflector part, and our eyes, our eyes are reflectors and all, but the number of the parts of our eye, just our eye, the pupil of our eye is over 100 and some thousand reflectors.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty amazing. Our eyes are very complex. Oh, that reminds me now that you're saying that, Dixie. So the eye, rather than the face, this is what remember I said something about the panini and the eye might be something different about it. Okay. I think I remember something. The eye is an internal organ, according to halacha. The face is not. So for instance, on Shabbat, If you get a cut, it's not critical, and you can't break Shabbat in order to like, I don't know. I don't know the all the laws of Shabbat, but you can't, like, for instance, go to the doctor and ride in a car just because you got a cut on your arm, unless it's you're bleeding profusely or whatever, like you cut an internal artery. But the eye, if you get an eye injury, that is considered an internal organ, and because it's an internal organ, it is considered like life-threatening, and you can break Shabbat to try and heal your eye or help your eye, save
Wow,
your eye or whatever.
that's interesting.
Yeah. So the eye is an internal organ that is shown on the exterior. It's revealed. So your eyelids are literally revealing an internal organ.
And it's also letting the light into your body.
At the panemiut.
Wow.
And panemiut, panemi, or panim, which is similar to face.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh my gosh, you have to have your eyes to see, to be able to defend yourself and everything. I mean, it's huge. The
Yeah.
eye is huge.
Yeah, your eyes are probably your most important faculty.
Wow.
Yeah, the sun shall no longer be your light by day, for God will be your internal light. The strength to receive this light, which shall shine forth in the world to come without garment or concealment, we derive from our present study of the Torah. So there you go, Ernestine. That kind of goes with what we were talking about with your question a little bit. The Alter Rebbe stated earlier that the purpose of the entire Histalshalut is the revelation of the Ein Sof light, the Or Ein Sof in this world, which occurs when the darkness of the Klipot of this world is transformed into the light of holiness. But one may ask, this revelation will take place only in the hereafter. At present, the Ein Sof light is completely hidden. The Alter Rebbe, so I want to know why. What's going on here? The Alter Rebbe replies that indeed the Messianic era constitutes the purpose for which this world was created. It is known that the Messianic era, especially the period after the resurrection of the dead, is indeed the ultimate purpose and the fulfillment of the creation of this world. It is for this purpose that this world was originally created. At first glance, this statement appears strange. One should have thought that the Messianic era represents not the purpose of creation, but the reward for man's efforts toward fulfilling that purpose. The Alter Rebbe therefore clarifies the time of receiving the reward is essentially in the 7th millennium, as is stated in the Likutei Torah of the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria of blessed memory. Whereas the period until then constitutes the fulfillment of the world's purpose. A glimmer of this revelation, which will take place in the future, has already been experienced at the time of the giving of the Torah at Har Sinai. And this is the Alter Rebbe's talked about this in the Siddur Imdach and this concept of eye to eye. Why? Because that was a time when Yisrael saw Hashem eye to eye. People that were there at Har Sinai saw Hashem eye b'ayin, or eye in eye. And, yeah.
Okay, James, I have a question.
I hope I can answer it.
Well, it might take all of you.
Yeah, I hope so.
No, I shouldn't be that arrogant. It won't. My question is, okay, so we can never see Hashem eye to eye, but you just said they saw him eye to eye. So what are they talking
I
about?
in I. They saw Hashem. The Alter Rebbe talks in the Siddur and Doc that at Har Sinai they did. They doesn't it say? And they saw Hashem eye in eye. It's you
But
can't
doesn't
see
that say,
Hashem eye to you can't see Hashem eye to eye.
but was that when they died? When
Yes, I
that
think that
happened?
was.
Okay.
Yeah, I could I don't know if I've got the no. I've got it translated.
James, would
Um
that be like an idiom as far as like not just eye to eye or eye and eye, but with clear understanding? They understood Hashem clearly. You know, like it's
um
saying I see someone eye to eye because I'm understanding what they're.
yes, I totally see what you're saying. I think I don't know if it's just that though, or if it's more. If it
Because
has
there's
to do
lots
with
of idioms in the Middle East, that's for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, you're right. Well there's different levels or depths of knowledge. Like for instance, there's the concept of having a spark of you need an idea. It's that aha moment. I have an idea, but you don't know what it is. The next step is to try and think of what the idea is. And then the next step is to formulating your idea and understanding everything that needs to happen. And so I don't know if it's necessarily which stage you're referring to or what that would be, seeing something clearly. Because at each one of those stages, things are kind of clear, but they're just not evolved. One's like not evolved at all, and it's considered like the tip of the yud. And then there's the stages that come further down that are more formulated out. And that's the same thing, for instance, when it comes to the worlds. There's just the world of Atzilut, which is completely one, and there's like just that you just know there's an emanation. You're just emanating at that point. You don't know anything else. And then there's the level of creation, and then there's a level of formation, and then there's the level of actual action where you've got the plans and you're implementing them, like almost like designing a blueprint. And in other words, I'm trying to picture your question, the word you used of clarity. I'm not sure if it's exactly just clarity. I think it might be full understanding and
Yeah.
of his will, or maybe to rephrase clarity of his will, and your will is his will. Like not only do you have clarity of his will, but that is your will too. Like there's an actual maybe do component. There's a world and a Asiya component to it. Um, so I don't know. Those are my those are my 2 cents.
It's like consciousness colliding together.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what Matan Torah was. It was like not just consciousness, but like being, your very being of everything was completely one in I in I. Like it was completely, those memes where it's got the guy like with the blue light all around him, like the quintessential, he's got all the things for you, whatever. But I think it was kind of like that. Like their very being was completely, and the whole concept of bittul, like, okay, the Alter Ego was talking about bittul and how it's important to have bittul. But at other places in the Tanya, he talks about if something has bittul, it's nullified, like it's completely doesn't exist. So how can a human being have that kind of bittul and still exist? And I think the Alter Rebbe actually talked about that in another place, but so I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, I just got another twist because from that letter you sent was awesome. Thank you. I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's awesome. In fact, I almost made you go over it with me. I almost called you and said, you got to go over this with me. But we got eye to eye. I and I.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got, if we're using that as a not literal, but as something within something, as the light within light, because the eye lets in the light. So that's what it would be, light within light, possibly. Could that go as the connection between the soul, the neshama, and the animal
It
soul?
I do believe, Dixie, it is literal. I think it is literal. I in the Siddur Imdach, let me see if I can just pull it up here. Um here. Uh it's
I'm just thinking that this is much deeper. I mean, it just goes layer, layer, layer,
yeah,
is what I'm thinking.
right. Creating, okay, hold on a second. Where is I'm let me look for all the places of I'm here. Um
Hmm.
yeah, I think this whole thing would actually answer your guys' question. Um Okay, I haven't perfected. This is not my translation. This is only like 5% of my translation. Okay, so I'm kind of like reworking some of the translation. But let's see here. I haven't read it in a while. Let's try and then we're going to say this is our God. So you're going to be able to point and literally mamish say this is our God. And as it said, this is my God. And this is also the meaning of the verse, for they will see Hashem eye in eye. It says eye to eye, but it's eye in eye. So it says ein ba'ain. Two eyes are mentioned here. These two eyes are firstly the eye of the vision of the body, that through meditation in the creation of yesh ma'ain, something from nothing. Oh, that's another thing too. Ein means nothing. And
Mhm.
secondly, the second eye is the eye of the comprehension of the Nefesh Elokis, the godly soul, in the essence of the infinite light, the Or Ein Sof of Hashem, and say, this is my Hashem. And in the future to come, where everything will be completely elevated and totally purified. So the garments of the Noga, up until the, okay, this is very, so the garments of the Noga, up until the eye of the animal soul, the Nefesh Behemoth, will also be able to see and perceive in a way of understanding the existence. Like it says, and all flesh will see together. So this appears to be me a mamish literal thing. Then also the second eye, which means in the very essence of Hashem, not only the mitzius, the existence, but the malchus, the essence. Be able to look straight forward, and we're going to have the advantage of the physical vision, which is able to see. So it's going to be both. And this is the meaning of I Ba'iru, which we would have to talk about that above. This is the understanding of the root of the concept, which is meant by speaking about praises of the Creator in all the songs and the Tehillim. All these various things are praising Hashem. For example, it says, praise Hashem from the earth, the great sea monsters, these humongous things, fire, hail, snow, and all these praises. We did a whole class on this. Russell and I did, not this last Pesach, but the previous Pesach. I have a whole class. If you guys want to know, I what we did, I think Russell and I did. I think we just read through this. Vaguely remember. I'm sorry, but instead of having another hour going over it, because I think it took us an hour or two, um, I can just send you guys the link. But it's in this. It's all about this. It's momish, and I think he even says like literally, yeah. It will not be able to the very essence literally. Therefore, it enclose itself. Oh, that's something else.
I'd like you guys to give us a class on it.
Well, I invited everybody. No, no, but I mean, if you guys want to, we can go over it again. Uh, and the third one is to actually comprehend. Oh, these are the different stages, and this is why we mentioned Hasidim Olam. So James, you might be interested in this. I don't know if you're. I hope we didn't bore you or anything, but this is the whole reason why I got here because uh, I was I reference a lot of Lumot Olam, Hasidim Olam. This is what got me in this coordinate. Even Hasidei Olam on a lower level can okay, so James is here. Good deal. The Hasidei Olam, he can meditate on Hashem. He has a small, very introductory level or concept of Hashem. He sees it through the Noga, right? But he is mentioned here in the gate of the holiday of Matzah because the Hasidim Otalam receive a portion of the world to come. They can relate to that as well. They can also understand the creation Yesh Ma'ayin, something from nothing. This is how Malchus of its Silut completely concealed the entire year. And then he goes on more and more. But the third level is to actually comprehend literally the very essence of Enochi Meshenochi, I am that I am. Again, excellent point, Russell. I don't know if you read that, but I am. It's talking about the whole aspect of me, I am. So yeah, yeah, we can. I mean, if you guys want to do a special class on this or go over it again, that's fine. I'm game. I can send you guys the link if you guys want to listen to it, and then let me know. There's another translation. I was starting to translate the beginning of it. One other good thing I want to read, which we've talked about before, but this is again with the whole letter Ein, and the 70 nations and like, behold, as it is known. This is a great axiom to know. Behold, and it's known that the nefesh elokit, that godly soul that we talk about, solely came down to elevate, to berur the garments of the Noga. So the sole purpose of the godly soul is to elevate the thought, speech, and action of the Noga.
So not Israel is what you're saying, the Noga?
Israel is the Noga. Hasidei
Okay,
Umoto Alam are the Noga.
okay.
Umoto Alam are not the Noga. But it's not easy for us to determine who's Umoto Alam and who's not, so to speak, right? Because in order to do that, you'd have to know who is truly kind and who is just false kind.
Mm.
And that's hard. I mean, how do you judge somebody except through based in, through the Sheva mitzvahs, through the based in of Ger Toshav, which then Yisrael can say, hey, they are Machasidei Umoto Alam. They are from the kind ones of the peoples of the world. Why? Because by based in, they accepted, they kabel the Torah, the Sheva mitzvot b'nei Noach, as the Torah says. That's in the Rambam, Hilchot Malachim, the Laws of Kings, chapter 8, um, 10 through 11. It, it people mistranslate that and they misread it. They think, oh, somebody has to accept the seven and therefore they are called Hasidim Otolam. That's not quite true. That's what Rambam's talking about is before based in. But there is no based in for Ger Toshav today. So there's no, you can't explicitly say that this person's Hasidim Otolam and this person is not. It appears to me that is a question for Hashem. That's a judgment call for Hashem outside of based in. That people call each other Hasidim Otolam, I get it. I do the same thing, I guess. But in actuality, I mean, how do you truly know whether somebody is a chassid? How do you really know if somebody's truly kind without based in? Now, within Yisrael, people could say that, I guess. But coming from the outside in, well, then it becomes dangerous, right? Without based in, although there are certainly aspects of Ger Toshav. You certainly can do things of the aspect of this Noga helping people out and whatnot, at least emulating it. So, my point is, Nefesh Behemoth. This is talking about the Nefesh Behemoth, the Nefesh Elokit, the godly soul, comes into the seichel, comes into the seichel, comes into the intellect. Why? What is the purpose? To berur the Nefesh Behemoth, to berur the animal soul of the Noga. You can't berur animal souls that are not at least of Noga. They'll just spit on you basically, or you can't. It's not permitted because you're not supposed to feed that side. Um, so, meaning the body, the physical material body, which source is from the Klipat Noga. He's talking about Yisrael now, because the Umoto Olam are not from Klipat Noga. They are from the complete Klipot, the Gimel Klipot Tameot, the three completely impure Klipot. However, there are non-Jews who also emanate from this Klipat Noga, just like Yisrael do. When a Yisrael child is born, their animal soul is from the same klipa called klipat noga. It's a noga that is permitted. It's the klipa that is permitted that can be used. It has an element of goodness to it, and it's where the positive mitzvot come into play. It's permissible as long as you do the positive mitzvah properly. The Alter Rebbe talks quite a bit about that at length. The physical material body, which source is from the Klipat Noga of the 70 spiritual ministers, which is ultimately the source of the 70 nations. So this is where, and when it says the 70 nations, we're talking about Goyim, and this is what makes me, it doesn't upset me as much anymore, but I definitely still try to correct it. But man, like the whole concept of the word goy or goyim, like it doesn't mean non-Jews. It means people that are from these 70 nations. That at one time or could it still, like, yes, non-Jews are by definition are going to be of a different nation. And if they're not worshiping Hashem, then they're going to be worshiping these ministering angels. But here's the kicker, and here's why what happens then when you get a non-Jew that doesn't worship these ministering angels, who is not doing avodah zarah. They've listened to a rabbi or a Jew or somebody saying, keep the Sheva mitzvahs. And what's one of them? Don't do avodah zarah. So what does the non-Jew do? Well, I'm not going to be worshiping these spiritual ministers anymore. I want to just worship Hashem. And so they start to learn who Hashem is, and they start to learn what Hashem is and all these things. So why? So they don't do avodah zarah. And when they're not doing avodah zarah, then can it be said that they are now under these spiritual ministers? No. They're not doing avodah zarah anymore, so they can't be a goy. They cannot be the goyim by definition. So what are they? And so that's what got me onto this path. And don't get me wrong. Colloquially, yes, people are going to call you a goy or goyim. Is it accurate though? No. And it's a problem if Yisrael has a culture where they're calling non-Jews people who, all non-Jews are under these spiritual ministers. That's the problem now. Why? Because there are non-Jews who are not under these spiritual ministers even any more than a Yisrael is. And now they're starting to come to Torah. And it's actually very harmful. And I think a lot of us have seen that where if the Jewish community starts to call these people goyim and they're putting them in the getter of these spiritual ministers, this is a huge problem because you're going to start creating anti-Semitism. And I'm not saying all anti-Semitism is caused by this, but you're going to start perverting justice in regards to avodah zarah, right? Because there's many non-Jews who have fought tooth and nail to try to come out of the Avodah Zarah that they were born in, and to say, no, you're still a goy, you're still under these spiritual ministers, even though this non-Jew is trying to claw their way back to Torah. That's a problem. And so this is the essence. This is, at least, I shouldn't say the essence, but this is a deeper essence about what the goyim are, the nations. And that's why it perturbs me so much when people are like, you're a goy or whatever. It's like, that tells me right away they don't really know what a goy is. And that's really rough, because the person who's usually saying that should know better, and they don't. And then so who am I, this hick in the sticks non-Jew or whatever, trying to educate somebody who's learned Hebrew from birth, basically, about what a goy is. So what do? You have to go to the sources, and this is one of the sources. And there's many sources within Hasidus about the letter Ayin and the 70 nations, the klipot, the beginning of the harsh klipot in this world, how it's split from Ayin, the letter Ayin, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and how goyim developed. And what is a goy? It's someone who worships or follows a leader other than Hashem, quite simply. So, and then what happens when you don't do those things? And this is just the essence. It's a very simple essence, but man, who understands that? No one. It's very sad. And that's why I love studying with you guys and studying this stuff, because I feel like on one level it's very deep, but at another level, this is very fundamental stuff that everyone should know. Everyone who studies Torah should, not only should they learn the Sheva mitzvahs, right? But they have to know this deep, I don't want to say esoteric, because I feel like this should be fundamental. Like when I was a kid, I'd go at the boys club and we'd have summer basketball camp, and we'd just go through fundamentals of basketball. And every year, I don't know how many times I went through that. And like college kids would on the college basketball teams would come and donate their time to teach us the fundamentals of basketball. This is fundamental. And they would teach us teach us little secrets and like little hints and tricks. This is it. And we have to know these fundamentals. We have to know these fundamentals. And it's so important. So I really appreciate you guys being here, because this is cutting edge, but at the same time, it's fundamental. So, and people say, oh, Goy just means a nation. And they try to say, well, see in the Tanakh, that's circular reasoning. Those are not actual definitions. That's just taking a cultural understanding and applying it using circular logic. This, however, you're starting to understand, oh, what really is a Goy? And in the Tanakh, yeah, everybody was a Goy, because there was only a few people following Hashem, until it evolved into a family, family of Abraham, and then eventually a nation. And of course, everybody else was going to be a goy. Everybody else was under these seven spiritual ministers, except for a few people here and there. And then you have something called Gerim, the sojourners, who, like Abraham, took in and on the Gerim. And so that's why I'm big into the study of Ger Toshav and Ger Tzedek and the like. Why? Because
James, you're the one that was put here to do this, because there's nobody else that is studying it like you are, because you lived in the community for 10 years.
Right.
You had the foundation to do this, and to the comparisons and the knowledge and it's your calling.
Oh man, I think you're right. I don't know if I'd say I'm the only one to do it. Something in my life is that I've always been a pioneer in something, but I know personally I've not really been that great at the pioneering aspect. Like in other words, if there was some far off land, I might be like the first pioneer there, but I'd be horrible actually at building a house. There'd be people coming after me that would be, 10 times better at building a house or whatever. But I do agree with you a bit. Like, I've seen both sides of the world, so to speak. I've lived in the Jewish world and I've lived in the non-Jewish world, and I've seen what needs to be fixed. And this is one of these things that need to be fixed. It's a huge deal. If we can get through this, then we're going to get through a lot of needless, like, just hatred of the Jewish people, of anti-Semitism would get cleared up. Not all of it. There's always going to be people that just hate and whatever. But um, this will help people come back to Torah. And the fact that we're getting a little long in the tooth, but when people start understanding these concepts, and then the whole concept of Nida 30b here, that how every human being actually does learn the Torah in their mother's womb, and everybody swears an oath to be righteous. Every tongue shall swear, and they're going to be reintroduced to this oath that they swore in their mother's womb to be righteous and not be wicked. And the baby does not leave the womb until the angels administer an oath to it. So all babies learn Torah. All babies swear an oath to be righteous and be not wicked. But what happens is every baby forgets the Torah as they're born, and sin creeps at the door, and then the klipa like wraps you. You're wrapped up and completely concealed from your perspective from Hashem and Torah. And what's the difference then? One difference between a Yisrael and a non-Yisrael is that Yisrael, their parents teach them that, hey, this is the Torah, and you are reintroduced to the Torah through Torah and mitzvot. On a male child, it's going to be his 8th day through circumcision. It could be even more than, maybe his mother seeing to him and teaching him Torah and Hesed and all these things. But generally for the non-Jew, that's non-existent. It's merit-based for the non-Jew. He or she has to strive on his or her own to try and remember this Torah. For the Yisrael, it's inherited. His or her parents give it to them in some way, shape, or form.
It's how we're raised. It's our environment.
Right, because everybody's born into the klipa, and that nefesh elokis, the soul that you have given me, goes makif, and it's like waiting for you. It's like hovering, but and that's after you're born. It has to go makif because it's not going to be able to dwell when there's no bittul and no Torah and mitzvot. So the Jewish child, the Yisrael child, it's enforced on them. It's imparted on them. Like through circumcision, for instance, it's not a free will thing. For the non-Yisrael, though, he or she, a lot of them don't make it, so to speak, right? So and that's one of the reasons that we just learned in Chassidus that is one of the reasons why Hashem is slow to anger, is because he's waiting. In his mochen, the godless, his huge breadth of mind, he is giving people the opportunity to do teshuva. So everybody needs to know this stuff. Every human being needs to know that they're taught the Torah. They swore an oath to be righteous, to try and remember that Torah, and what a goy is. What are these 7 ministry? Don't worship these emotional attributes and traits and things like that. Worship Hashem. You don't have to worship these false gods. But nobody's teaching it like that. And like you said, like, okay, yeah, I've seen the world, these 2 different worlds, but the really beautiful thing is it's actually in the Torah. This is not my stuff. This is just stuff that I see. I couldn't create all this stuff. It's just stuff that I just kind of know a little bit where to go. But the beautiful thing is this is the Torah and the sages. The Torah and the sages wrote this. So it's here. I just don't. It's here. So it's beautiful. It's so
It's that
reassuring.
God is trying to support you toward that direction. Because right now you're the only one in that particular position for
Yeah.
that particular direction.
Right.
Like Mike and Russell, and you always have your own
Well,
your
yeah,
niche.
yeah,
You know, you
yeah,
all have your niche, and it's all fitting together beautifully.
right. And the thing I like about Hasidus is that it's already like it's like yeah, it's already elaborated on.
Mhm.
This is post, the false a lot of the false messiahs of the past, like what are those guys like the Frankists and the Sabbatai Svi and things like that. This is 150 years after. Uh, the Jewish community had to go through all that stuff and refine um, some of these deeper teachings. That's why the Vilna Gaon was, I shouldn't say the reason, but I mean he didn't want to meet the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe went to go meet him, and he didn't want to meet him. He didn't want to meet the Vilna Gaon did not want to meet the Alter Rebbe, and one reason could have been because it sounded almost like just too good. But the truth is, from what I'm finding, is that it's just very well refined, and it's one of the reasons why I stick to Chabad Hasidus. It's systematic. It flows with me well, and I I I have a feeling I understand it. But when it comes to the non-Jew, like this is, I feel like we're making a lot of progress. So
Yeah, you are.
yeah, well, I hope you guys
Comparatively.
are too. Don't 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 uh don't forget me. No, but yeah, everybody like Russell and Mike, I mean, we're all kind of on our own different paths, and I think this is the beauty of kind of what I was talking about before. It's like, yeah, I'm pioneering in Chabad Hasidus in this aspect, I think, but like Russell and Mike, they're pioneering in other aspects as well. So um
Well, it's going to all wrap together in the end.
yeah,
What the good thing is, you can't just jump in without any direction.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, from what I have found, you can jump in with Chabad Hasidus as long as you know a little bit of Hebrew and you're not taking the English too literally. I've been very comfortable, like just plowing through as much as I possibly can in Chabad Hasidus. When it comes to some of the more, not rough, what's the word I'm looking for? Like ingredients, they're more raw or natural, like actual uh the like original Kabbalistic text. To me, that can really get you into trouble. And because I've read stuff by the Alter Rebbe warning people like don't read it this way, and I've watched people read it the way he's telling people not to read it, and they go off the derech. They just don't they go into Vodazara. Uh, so my point is I feel comfortable just sticking mainly with Chabad Hasidus, and I've never been in a situation while reading it where the Alter Rebbe's never been like holding my hand, basically. It's kind of like a father. Don't play with that saw, right? So like maybe if the Zohar is a very sharp saw that can do a lot of damage, it can do a lot of good. Um, but it's a raw tool. Like you really have to know how to use it. Um, but with Chabad Hasidus, I kind of feel like the rabbis who write it, like the Alter Rebbe, they hold your hands and say, "Hey, this is dangerous. It's powerful, but you need to know how to use it," and they kind of teach you how to use it.
Mhm.
So that's just been my perspective. So, um, and then like Russell and Russell and Mike, I think they've had good teachers. So you know, which is probably how I view the Alter Rebbe. So, but you know, in other words, my point is I'm seeing a lot of people on YouTube that are they just randomly pick up the Zohar and they start reading it, and I don't know. I don't think that's a good idea.
No, I
Um,
think so.
so
You just said about the Alter Rebbe holding your hand,
yeah.
and it just, this is a side thing. This is not to do with this in a sense, but it is. The Chabad, the rabbi and his sons and family, they consider Jack as their grandfather. And here you
Oh
go.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, they loved Jack so much, and they looked up to him so much that that when people come to visit, and they'll introduce me, and they'll say, and this was Jack's wife, and they'll say, and Jack was our grandfather of
Wow.
our synagogue. So
Yeah.
just
Wow.
that was just on the side.
That's pretty cool. I wish I didn't live as far from you guys that got the new Jack better and stuff. But yeah, he gave off that vibe. He gave off that like old wisdom vibe, you know, like generations of wisdom of
It was.
horses and ranching or something, you know, like he just kind of gave off that vibe.
It was definitely generations
Yeah.
of wisdom that he learned from, because he had to. You know, back then you did everything, you made everything. You didn't go to the store and buy stuff, parts for your anything. You had to make them for your equipment and everything. I mean, it's just, you know,
Yeah.
he just was a generation that had to learn how to survive.
Yeah. Baruch Hashem. That's amazing. Well, everybody, it's 10:35. We're over. So yeah, I'll send you a link. I'll try and find this class if you guys are interested. Are you guys in it? You want me to send you the link to this class that Russell and I did? I'll just send it to you guys individually, probably, and then we'll just call it a night.
You
Yeah.
can send it to me.
Okay, cool. And
Me too.
okay, excellent. And yeah, we'll stop there.
Okay.
All right, take care, guys.
All right. Thank you,
Yeah, be
James.
well. Thank you guys all for
Thank you,
coming
James, for putting
and
up with me and my.
oh no, you guys are all this. So I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Right.